Breaking news tonight. Horrible Howie. That's Howard Rubin, millionaire money manager, accused of luring then attacking women in his specially made soundproof dungeon in his multi-million-dollar penthouse, according to police. Wow. Luring women into a soundproof dungeon, even tying them up, cuffing them to a cross. A cross. The Holy Cross, that cross, torturing them with an electric cattle prod. What? Can I get on that jury? Can I get on that jury? I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us.
Former financier Howard Rubin, once a powerful figure in the world of finance, is now facing explosive charges for allegedly running a sex trafficking operation spanning more than a decade.
Howard Rubin, multi-millionaire financier, a money manager. That's what he's called, a money manager. He manages other people's money, much like Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein, who apparently brought in, a couple of $1 million, but somehow was transferring out $500 million to overseas accounts, including Russian banks that were on the U.S. watch list. What is it with these money managers? And how does this guy, not Epstein, but Rubin, allegedly lure women, educated women, into his sex dungeon that he personally had soundproofed? Okay, right there, I need a shrink right now. Okay, that sounds really painful. A flipped breast implant. It goes so much further than that. Lynn Shaw joining me, founder and director of Lynn's Warriors, dedicated to the eradication of sexploitation of women and sex trafficking. And let me remind you, it is a non-profit. She's certainly not doing it for the money. How is it that these multimillionaires mingle at, for instance, charity functions for $10,000, $20,000 a plate, for Pete's sake, and nobody will call them on their bad behavior? And we see it over and over again. There's Diddy, we pointed out. There's Rainier with NXVM. There is Epstein. There is R. Kelly. There's Jared Fogle. I mean, I could just list them off the top of my head, on and on and on. Rich or famous people that get away with this. And it's in your backyard, Lynn Shaw. What, you may have brushed elbows with this guy.
I am living in the devil's playground. This building is around the corner from me, and it has tighter security than Fort Knox. Diddy was arrested directly across the street. Epstein was a neighbor. I ask you, where has everybody been? What is going on? Who was complicit with this? This Jennifer Powers and this Howard Rubin, and I'm not giving him a cute nickname because I am disgusted, in the name of all of the victims. How was this allowed to go on for so long? How did, for instance, doormen and medical professionals and other people, it wasn't just these two doing all this, not see things with these women. And yes, in New York, they just seem to float, because you know what happens in New York? Happens in other places too. Money talks. That's all people care about. Money, or taking a picture with somebody of wealth and floating around town and showing up at events. But you know what? People knew. People knew, because we started hearing a lot of whispers 2 to 3 years ago about this. And we also heard that women were warning other women, do not, no matter how much money is thrown at you, do not go and visit with this guy, as they put it to me. Do not get near this guy. So I ask everybody, again, we're on repeat. Let's talk about the victims. Let's talk about who's helping them. And let's talk about why the justice system is taking so long to do anything about all of these cases. I mean, who's next? I expect tomorrow another case to pop up in my neighborhood.
A case has been going on for years. Speaking of the perfect facade and this guy's philanthropic work, his charity work, and how many dollars he gave away to the needy, how many fancy galas he went to. What were the feds and the local authorities, LA law enforcement, my people, blinded by his money and his local fame? Well, I'm not blinded. Here is part of his facade.
Rubin becomes a Wall Street commodity while he trades bonds at Salomon Brothers. Rubin profiled in Michael Lewis's book Liar's Poker for his contributions to the collateralized mortgage obligation market. Rubin goes on to senior positions at Merrill Lynch, Bear Stearns, and Soros Fund Management. Marries fellow financier Mary Henry, and the couple is very active in the NYC philanthropy scene. After 3 children and 36 years of marriage, Henry divorces her husband when he is accused of sexual violence. In text messages, Rubin shares horrifying details of his exploits with Powers in casual conversation. Powers asks for details when Rubin says he used the cross in his last session. "I can only imagine what you did to her on that cross. Did you shock her?" Rubin responds with a complaint that his cattle prod isn't as strong as it used to be.
Lynn Shaw, this is the type of conversation that I would expect from a pimp talking to another pimp about how some of the Johns, the women or the girls. This is a guy in your neighborhood that attends all of these glitzy galas, raising money, him, for the needy, a multi-millionaire Harvard grad, and his hench person, the Beelzebub to his Satan. They're laughing about shocking ladies with a shock device after forcing her, binding her to a cross.
Listen to what we're talking about. Jennifer Powers, do you know how disappointing and horrific she is? A woman doing this to other women. All of the cases I can think of, I'm sitting here trying to think in my mind, there's now a woman involved. They're doing all the dirty work. And this woman is laughing about all of this and taking joy. And I agree 1,000% with Dr. Bethany. She really nailed it. There's something wrong with this woman. And my goodness, couldn't she even think of her children and clean it up and get out of this or not do it at all? But here's the thing. This is why we have women who don't want to come forward, girls who don't want to come forward. They see another woman does this, and they're seeing again that dynamic of power, wealth, and they're seeing it wasted on this. And this is why we can't get them to come into court to testify. It's falling apart. This is another case, another example. And again, a woman doing this to another woman. I can't imagine. This is just not exploitation. This is morally corrupt. This is evil happening. And you know what? I'm just going to throw this in. A friend of mine on real estate said there's a big demand lately. She told me this about 3 months ago for these dungeons in people's apartments here in New York. How horrific is this? That people are normalizing and becoming habituated to these terrorist acts. Horrific.
On women. The majority of the victims are women. To Sydney Sumner joining me, Crime Stories investigative reporter. In other text messages, Sydney Sumner, isn't it true that this hench person, Powers, Jennifer Powers, speaks freely, even in writing, in text messages, and recorded conversations? For instance, I don't care if she screams next to a laughing face emoji. Words like, "This will be fun!" exclamation, exclamation. Another, "She hates submit. She's so desperate. We've got to make her cry." Stating that they will give the victim, quote, "plenty of Valium so she can endure more pain." Repeat, "We've got to make her cry." That's part of the state's evidence.